Hey everybody, Reef Girl here. Well, job one is done. The pump intake is now clear of bubble algae and most of the coralline, and there's a tiny bit of hair algae stuck on there. I'm going to have to keep up with that with my tweezers. I noticed that I was trying to get some bristleworms that were annoying my zoos, and I noticed that I was able to pluck that algae off the rocks. And I don't know whether that's because the magnesium is up a little bit high and it's starting to come loose, but I'm going to document the state of it every day and just kind of pick away at it and see what I can do to control it as the days go by. And look at this jabo. I still haven't had a chance to get that one out of there, but that's going to be the next job. I'm going to soak it in vinegar and do a really good job cleaning that up because I'm sure it's not working as well as it could. So overall, things are looking good. The magnesium was about 1350, and then I did a 10% water change, and it dropped down to 1320. So I'm going to have to try and figure out how to balance those two. Maybe I'll discontinue the water changes for a couple of days just so I can get that magnesium up there. Overall, things are looking really good, and it's only been a couple of days, but I'm already seeing a little bit of difference in the algae. And now for some random cool stuff. Down in this corner, I thought there was an ugly little detritus trap, and I was looking around at the equipment here trying to figure out how I was going to get a siphon in here. So I cleaned the glass a little bit to get a closer look. And lo and behold, I think it's actually a little colony of tunicates or some type of colonial sponge. So I'm pretty happy about that because I've read that that's a sign of a healthy tank. This is an area of really good flow down tucked behind the elegance here, and it's also a little bit in the shade, so these little things should have a good protected spot to just sort of grow and do their thing. So I'm happy about that because I think it means the tank is doing well, that these more delicate little organisms can find a spot and grow. And random cool thing number 2 is the bubble coral. I don't think I've posted any footage of this since I first brought it over here as a rescue into the 20 from the 29, but I'm pretty amazed at how well it's doing. A while back I noticed it was starting to develop bubbles, but they were pure white and there were no Zooxanthellae anymore, and I didn't know whether they would ever redevelop or whether I could even rescue this thing. But when I started seeing those little white bubbles, I thought, well, maybe I'll try and target feed it with some of that spirulina fortified brine shrimp. So that's what I did, very, very carefully, really tiny pieces. And sure enough, it slowly started to come around. Up until about a month ago, this thing was pure white, and once again, I really didn't know whether the Zooxanthellae would ever come back. But then I started noticing little brown, dark streaks on it, and I didn't know what they were until there suddenly started to be brown spots, and now we have a beige color. So yes, the Zooxanthellae are coming back, and that was a question I couldn't answer with all the research I did, whether once they were gone they would ever return. Wasn't sure if all of these efforts would be for nothing, but it looks like it's paying off because I'm super thrilled that this little guy looks as if he's going to come back. So now I have to be really careful that I don't do anything stupid. I'm not going to move it. I'm not going to try and place it somewhere different or in different light or different flow. I'm just going to leave it be and let it adjust. And hopefully this long tentacle plate coral will mind its own business and not interfere. Because even though it looks like those tentacles are really close, they're still several inches away. So I think the bubble coral is going to be safe from that for now. And also this torch, the purple torch, is kind of minding its own business too. So here's hoping. I know it's a lot of rambling, but I love this little guy. So look at the tentacles on the Goniastria. I think this is great. This proves to me the principle that you do your research into what your corals need before you purchase them or after you purchase them, so you can decide on what you think is the best placement, and then you put them there and you just let them adjust. This has been in this spot for about a month, and a few weeks ago I was thinking I would actually have to move it because it looked like the heads on the left were retracting a little bit, but looking at this, there's no way. It looks like it's really doing well in this spot. Now this is the middle of the afternoon and it has all these feeders out, so I'm going to mix up a batch of my reef concoction, which is Gonio Power, reef chili, and reefroids, and I think I'm going to drop it in here and let all of these guys have a good feed. Polyps are really nicely extended everywhere, and I'm also excited to report that the red planet acro, which you can see right there in the front, that's not part of the bird's nest, it now has polyp extension, and it has not had that. Oh, I've had that coral for probably 6 months. And when I first placed it here, I really wasn't very confident it was going to survive, which is one of the reasons the bird's nest is so close to it. But I noticed when I got back from holidays that the polyp extension has dramatically improved. There were a few out before I left, and now it's looking a lot better. Now it's supposed to be yellow with red polyps, so we'll see over the next little while whether I can get some of that color back. So everybody's looking good. Pocillopora also getting new branches and just generally increasing in size. Another one I'm super happy about is that acro at the back with the neon green polyps. You can see it now has regained its purple growing tips, so that is absolutely fantastic that that's happening as well. So overall, I guess I can't complain. Like I said, Goniastria, there you go, living proof that if you're patient, you can tell whether it's the right spot for your coral. I'm glad I didn't move it because now it can grow in place and adapt to its conditions in this spot. And we'll see if I get the nice, giant, brilliant green ball shape that I was looking for when I first picked this guy up. And finally, my turbo snail has bubble algae growing on him. I have these huge turbo snails in here, and aside from these little tube worms and all the coralline, this guy actually has bubble algae on his shell. Now, I guess that proves how slowly they move. I need to get him out of the tank, but I'm very reluctant to pluck him off the glass. I always feel like that's damaging to them. But in order to clean off the bubble algae, I'll have to try and maybe watch him, and when he's on the sand, which is rarely, try and pick him up and get him out of there. Funny. So yeah, the water is quite cloudy in here. I just did a water change and there's a lot of crud stirred up from the sand. I got 2 giant jars of disgusting dark brown water out of here because there's a lot of detritus. But I'm glad to have removed it. Anyway, thanks for watching this video. Like, comment, subscribe. I hope you got a kick out of some of my random little updates, things here and there. And we'll talk to you again soon.